We'll date with that later.
Is Tim in Florida then?
Yeah, he's in Florida. Yeah.
What did you call, what gateway called? What did you call the number? Of what words? What's it called?
What, tonight?
17 something?
Oh, 1782.
Okay, I just want to know, so
1782 notice.
I want to understand what it is.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. It's 5:30. Okay, have you guys got the minutes for the December 14th?
Okay, we got an
meeting?
agenda. Got agenda papers.
Yeah, I should have one here for you. Did you need one, AJ?
No. Thank you.
Let me pick one. Thank you.
Okay, have you had a chance to review the December 14th minutes?
I'm all right with them. You all right with them?
I would like to amend them.
Tim Baker.
Okay, you there, Tim?
Yeah, we got done, so I thought I'd call in.
Okay.
That's what I'd like to amend with the December 14th.
We're looking over the minutes, Tim.
Okay.
So well, you said that you weren't notified for the December 18th meeting, but that email there.
Right, what you sent after the December 14th meeting, because it shows
Well,
right there,
This was an email dated December 14th.
right at 8:25 p.m., which is after
Yeah,
the meeting.
which
So that
was after the meeting.
which would be
No.
after the December
No,
14th
no.
meeting.
The meeting was December 18th with the commissioners.
Right, but we
Yes.
weren't informed before the December 4th.
Yeah, we were not informed before the December 14th meeting.
I notified you as soon as I could. I notified you 4 days ahead of time.
Well, the timestamp on your email is December 14th at 8:25, which would have been after our December 14th meeting.
Okay.
So
That's
that's,
a problem.
so yeah, your amendment, or what you wanted to amend, won't change anything, because what you sent was after the meeting, so that doesn't change what we had
I
here.
sent you a formal email. This is the way we're supposed to address this
Right,
issue.
right,
Yeah.
but it was after our
Okay,
December 14th,
okay,
so,
I'm not gonna
so there's
say-
not, there's so
But
nothing should be
he's saying
amended.
the board, he says it right in here, the board was never informed of these denials and
And
the request to
That's
appear
what I'm
at the
addressing. You
commission.
said you were never informed, but you were
Right.
informed.
not at the December, we weren't informed until the December 14th meeting.
Yes.
So that,
Sometimes I don't find these things out.
that's,
I notified you as soon as I can on December 14th. That's four days before the meeting.
Right. right, but if you would have informed us before the meeting, then it would be different in that last line.
Word it however you want it, but this is what I want amended.
Right, but the way you're stating is, it was after the meeting, so that would apply to the minutes of the meeting.
Yeah. It isn't going to apply to the minutes of the meeting.
What has that got to do with? I gave you 4 days notice that the
But
commissioners
no,
wanted this up there.
Larry,
But Larry, you didn't send us the email till after the meeting, so you can't
So
put
what's that?
something you sent
So
to
that's-
us after the meeting
Dave, calm down.
in the
So-
minutes.
David, I emailed you 4 days ahead of time. I gave it plenty of
Well,
time.
how can, Larry,
Larry.
what I'm getting at is how can we amend the minutes of what was said, done, taken at the meeting until when you sent this after the meeting? So,
Yeah, this was sent after the meeting. It's irrelevant to the meeting because it was sent to us after the meeting.
Just say okay.
right, we were informed at the meeting,
Yeah.
which that's what that
We were
states.
informed, but we didn't get this email till after the meeting was over with. So
Okay,
this
David,
can't go
we're good.
into the meeting.
So yeah, the amendment does not apply to that because it.
Yeah, that's correct. It does not apply.
So, besides that, is there anything on the
Yeah.
December 14th? You have anything else for the minutes? Okay. Then I make the motion we approve the December 14th minutes.
Okay, so I had the 28th, but
I've got, you need a copy of the 28th?
I got the 28th. It's the 14th. Do we got the 14th?
I got it right here, so-
You got it right there.
Okay.
Okay, have you had a chance to review the 28th meeting?
Yeah, I have. I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'd like to make an amendment there also.
I need a copy of that then, Larry. The signed one.
You want a copy of the signed one?
Yeah.
We'll get it after the meeting.
You might as well wait. I want one of this next one too.
Do you need a copy of that too, AJ?
No, I'm good.
Okay, what do you want to amend on that?
Okay, the very last, hold on, that's the wrong one. Okay, December 28th. I got it highlighted here. And this is what I'd like to amend.
Uh, and that's what he's got here. Right? He says that
Which one you looking at?
you said
First
you were
one or
leaving
second?
the board meeting. You were leaving. The meeting was over. You were ending it, and you did say you were going to talk about finding a new trustee, and then it stated he is not resigning. It says on
I
the
never-
bottom line.
I never said that you need to find a new trustee. I just said I was going to talk with Zach Rogers.
I've got audio proof of you saying that we needed to find a new.
Okay, I'd like
So,
to have that audio.
I sent that a link to you earlier today, so you should have a copy to all minutes or all
Yeah,
recordings
really
since
doesn't-
the beginning.
Okay.
But yeah, you have access to that.
Okay, you do agree though that I was not going to resign?
That's it said right
It
there,
said right there in the
the
bottom
second line.
line.
So I think the
Like
only
the first one, if the board wanted to discuss the township guidelines, but Larry Heckler refused to discuss the guidelines.
Oh, you did refuse to discuss?
No, I said we would discuss it after.
No, you first off refused it. Is that on? Do you remember
It's,
anything?
if you go down a couple lines, if you go a couple lines down, the board wanted to go over guidelines line by line, but Larry refused to do that because we didn't have time. And so that's when we moved on from that point. That's how
I wanted to review them. They were the bottom thing on the agenda, and I wanted to do them at the end of the agenda.
So we can.
Man, he refused to discuss them though. At some point in
I
there,
wanted to discuss them at the end of the meeting.
It's on the thing. He refused to discuss them. I can't. We're gonna have to listen to the audio before I'm changing it to see. I want to know exactly when it was said before or after, and then we can amend them at the next meeting. But yeah, I want to before we're taking that out. I want to make sure it was.
You want to review that?
Yeah, I want to review it. Yep, I want to review it.
So we're not taking any action on the
No,
December
we
28th
won't.
meeting. It's okay. So no action.
Okay, we'll review them at the January 16th meeting.
Which is it? Because my email says February 16th. It's January 16th now.
That's the third Tuesday after the first Monday, I think.
I thought we agreed on February 8th was the next meeting.
I was thinking, yeah, sometime
That's not
February was the.
According to Indiana code, isn't it third Tuesday after the first Monday
For what?
for the annual financial report? That's what
When's
I'm
it got to be done? When's the annual financial
I
report?
think it has to be done
Ken?
before.
Before when? Do you know?
I thought it was the
the last, like the end
before
of February.
before the third Monday of February.
That's what I was thinking.
So that's why we
have-
did. That's why we did February 8th.
Yeah.
February 28th is when it's supposed to be turned in.
Okay. So he's got till February 28th. So
Yeah, I do have until then, but from what I understand, the annual financial report is supposed to be reviewed the third Tuesday after the first Monday. Now, I might be wrong there, but you and I talked about this at the last meeting, AJ.
Right. That's why I say it would not. Why I thought we agreed to the February 8th as our next meeting.
February 8th meeting is fine with me. I was just trying to follow the Indiana code that you
Right.
thought I was supposed to follow.
Right. Which would that February 8th would be the next meeting.
that's what we're calling the next meeting's February
8th, which would be a Thursday.
at 5:30, right?
Correct. All right.
So we're good on the
We're good on this for now.
on the minutes for now.
Is there a particular reason you don't want to meet on January 16th?
I just don't. I don't feel like we need to meet twice a month.
Well, that's what I told you at the last meeting, and you said I got to follow Indiana code.
Right. Which Indiana code says you have just to meet before the third Monday of February.
No, it says the third Tuesday after the first Monday.
The year.
You got that code handy?
Well, I've got it on my paperwork. I'd rather have it February 8th because it gives me more time.
Right.
But you told me at the last meeting you wanted me to follow Indiana code, so that's why I said that. Can you find it in your phone?
there's no sense arguing if you make her the 16th, be done with it.
Actually, like I said, February, was trying to do what you guys wanted me to do. That's all. February 8th is a whole lot better for me.
That's why I'm bringing it up here. It's coming. So the legislative body shall meet on or before the third Tuesday after the first Monday in February of each year. At this meeting, it shall be considered approved. So what that's saying
It's the third
is
Monday in February, Larry. not
after the
January.
first Monday.
Talk about the annual financial report.
Right. Annual report of the executive presented under.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. That works. I thought January 16th was awful early.
Right. No, that one, the annual report needs to just be done before end of February.
Okay, third Tuesday,
After the first Monday of February.
first Monday. So it's got to be later than February 8th then.
No, it just has to be before what's February 8th will be after the first Monday.
Yeah, just has to be after the first Monday.
Because the first Monday would be,
Okay, why did
first
you guys,
Monday would be the 5th.
Yeah, and then it's three Tuesdays after that.
Any time before that
But
third
it could
Tuesday.
be up to 3 Tuesdays though.
Correct.
Could
So,
be, but anytime before.
but it has to be after that. So sometime in February is what they're saying, basically.
Well, let me see what my schedule is. Because the more time I got, the better it is.
Right.
So technically, it could be as late as what?
Would be the last Tuesday of February.
27th.
It could be the 27th. Okay. What if we make it the 20th? That would give me more time.
I think we stick with the 8th because that's what we've had down.
I call the meetings.
I'm just trying.
Well,
I don't know how.
We've already got the 8th scheduled, so.
No, you don't. I
if-
call the
if we
meetings,
don't-
David.
If we don't,
Trustee calls the meetings.
then
Let me look at what else is going on. Oh. The 20th won't work. I've trying to verify the other meetings I have. And that one is. I need to get my calendar updated, but the 20th will not work for me.
Okay, what other day that week? What about the 13th? And it don't have to be on Tuesday. Any day's fine with me.
That's why I say I thought 8th was working good.
Well, I'm the one who's got to prepare
Right.
the stuff. I need as much time as I can get.
Right. That still gives you a month.
You've never been through this. I've been through it. There's a lot of things that goes on. If you can make it February 13th, let's make it February 13th or the week of the 13th.
Hey, so you originally had it down you were thinking January.
I
so
understand that, and I thought to
that's
myself,
our,
why are we fighting about a date on a meeting?
Larry, we're going by what you told, you
I
have
was
the
wrong.
access to
I
the.
thought it was
Okay,
supposed to
but
be
you have
January
access
16th.
to the information just like we do. You asked us.
Look, I called the meeting. I'm going to have it on whatever day in that third week that you can make it. Now, what date? Pick a date. I can make it any date then.
I can't do it on Wednesday. That I know.
Oh, it's Valentine's Day, anyways.
What about the 15th?
I don't know how to find that.
That's okay. I was wrong. It was the third Tuesday after the first Monday in February.
Okay,
Which is,
good.
I knew it was January 16th. Seemed way too early.
Okay, I checked it by that, so that's why it didn't come up then.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you for checking.
Yeah, you're welcome.
February 15th workout.
Yeah, we can move it to the 15th.
5:30.
5:30.
Larry, are you going to have that annual financial report to us emailed like a few days before that, maybe?
I'm certainly going to try. Yeah, I hope to have it done a week prior to that. But I'll get it to you as soon as. Sometimes I've been running into some problems with our BookWiz package, and sometimes at the last minute I find out I'm getting bad numbers. So that means I got to start all over again. But if there's no complications, yeah, I'll plan on having it to you as soon as I can get it to you.
Okay, well, if we could just get it maybe at least a couple days before that, maybe that'd be good.
Well, it would. I would certainly try to send it at least. The agenda has to be out 48 hours ahead of time. I will at least try to get it to you 48 hours ahead of time when I send you the agenda. But I'll try to get it quicker than that.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay.
So we got that all.
We're
good there.
we're good there.
Are you officers? You good being the secretary yet?
Yeah, I'm fine there.
Well, I make a motion, we keep it the same. You the secretary, you the president.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Larry.
One moment here. Let me get this loaded so I don't goof up.
Dave, is there any way you can turn your speaker on your phone up just a little? I'm just barely getting it.
Okay, hold on. Is that any better, Tim?
Well, yeah, maybe.
If you put it on there with that speaker thing, you know, where you talk into, yeah, set it so that it's facing, or just lay it flat there. Yeah, that'll do it.
Is that any better?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
as long as everybody talks into it that good.
David, you're going to remain president then?
Yep.
And AJ the secretary?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, next up, the Form 17. And what this is, it's just a form that shows the wages that everybody here is getting.
No, I don't need that. Thank you.
What is Form 17?
It just shows the wages that all you guys make and my employees and I.
Okay.
I have to get it turned in this month.
Okay.
It's showing the trustee is getting $12,000. The township clerk, $5,000. The members of the township board are getting $800 each, and the investigator is getting $5,000.
You good with it, AJ?
I am good.
I'm good also. And I'll get a copy of that then too, Larry. I could assign them.
You got the minutes you're gonna get a copy of.
Yeah, the minutes.
Okay, I'll make sure I get them.
No, these,
Okay,
were these signed? These are the 14th.
Yeah.
These were not signed.
okay, I was, running, some, end of the year reports early last week. And a lot of times I try to run things from two different angles to see if I come up with the same number. And I was not getting that. This will make sense as we go down the road here, but I'm just trying to explain some things to you that's happened to me. So I called Philip. He's the guy who wrote the program. And after he corrected the program, he went in there and he said, well, for some reason, these boxes aren't checked. And I never even been to that screen before. I didn't even know what it was about. So anyway, he went and checked those. And before he checked them, I was $1,883 in the red in the township assistance. As soon as he got done checking them, I was $10,003 in the red. And the next day I was doing the general fund, and I went from being in the black. Same thing, he checked off these boxes. He said, well, these are supposed to be checked. I went from being in the black, $6.47, to in the red to over $5,000. I'm just making a statement. There was something wrong and we've got it corrected. But it certainly didn't help with us being in the red at the end of the year with the township assistance and the general fund.
So the general fund is, you're saying $5,000 in the red?
At that time now,
And the 10,000?
yeah, it's about 5,000.
And the 10,300 was which fund was that?
The first one, it was the township assistant showed it was 1,883 in the red beginning of last week, and when he flipped the switches, it went to 10,003.
Okay.
Is he gonna fix it?
He fixed it, yeah. But it was, if we could have found it a whole lot earlier in the year, it would have made things a whole lot better.
So, did you print another printout on township assistance to know where it was off? I mean, your vendors and that report you give us?
Yeah,
So-
I printed off new reports.
Do we got a copy of them?
Well, you want the, I can give you the.
We want the most.
We
current
want the most current one you
one at the
got.
end of the year.
Yeah,
That way we
on
can see.
both
I've
funds.
got a cash and investment combined statement here that shows, now the general fund was in the red above the budget, but it wasn't in the red because we spent money that wasn't in the general fund. But the township assistance is in the red because all the township assistance beginning balance is gone, the receipts are gone, and that's why we're in the red there.
But you don't have these broke down like you did before then.
Do you have the
Where's
just
the
year to date?
year to
not the-
date sheets?
You want every expense?
Basically, what
Just, yeah, with all the check numbers, not like you did give
Oh,
us.
I might have it here.
I thought you should be something.
I've got the copies here. I've only got one copy apiece, so.
Can you want me to go take one more copy?
Did you each? Well, it's really, really close to that one that I gave you last week. I mean, we didn't write any checks since then.
So what we have last week is,
I still want a copy of what's current,
Well,
or what
I need to
what you're
review
calling is
This
current.
one?
Both of them need to have copies.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they just take one and make 2 copies.
Well, both are two different things.
One's general,
This is a general one, that's township
No
assistance.
problem.
Larry, if you give them guys another report, can you email me that report?
Okay, what report do you want? Did you?
so he wants
The same thing you
Well,
got there?
well, if you've got a
Yeah,
more
on this one
current
and the one she's getting us.
township assistance report, and since there's flushing in the general fund, if he's got a more current after that guy got done flipping the switches or whatever, we want the latest report before we get that annual financial report.
Okay, yeah, I can email the township assistance in the general fund, plus the cash and investment one. I'll give you the same thing the guys are requesting at this meeting,
Okay, I appreciate it.
okay? What's the weather like down there?
It was pretty cool today. We had a jacket on all day. It's 53 degrees right now. I bet it only got up to around 60. But
Oh,
here.
no kidding?
Yeah. But we were the courts where we played was covered, and they had like tarps around the outside fence.
Oh.
It was pretty comfortable.
Cut down the wind, huh?
Yeah.
You have to push your little shuffle thing differently when it's colder? Does it slow down or speed up or anything?
Well, they'll change a little bit. Humidity affects them more than anything.
Oh,
But we got to go back tomorrow. We're going to be in the top 4 teams.
oh, no kidding. Where are you playing at?
Sebring,
Oh,
they have 22 teams, and the worst we can finish is 4th, and the best would be 1st. We got 2 more matches tomorrow.
what do you got, about a $10,000 prize?
No, they aren't going to need another line on the income tax statement.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys want to move on while she's getting those?
Yeah, you. Right.
well, because the only other thing on there is the borrow funds, correct?
Well, I've got some things I want to run by you that I want to show you some stuff that will affect your decision on the borrowed funds thing.
Well, that's what I was hoping to have the other sheets so we can look at those too for that. But yeah, we can talk about anything else if we need to.
Okay. Okay, what this report is showing is that for 2020, 2021, and 2022, Barry had in the budget for like $7,734 for township assistance.
Mine's all 2020.
Here's 2021.
Good.
Here's 2022's.
That's
Okay, you should have 20, 21, and 22.
You got 20. I'll
I
take
got 20 and 21.
Here's a 22. I'll take a 20.
Which one?
They're all the same. Just one's a whole year.
Okay.
But if you look under,
Yeah, okay, there we go. I still got another 2020.
You can just set it right there.
if you look at the, where I got it highlighted there, township assistance, the receipts for 2020, we didn't take, he funded it for 7,000 some, but we didn't fund it. So it took in 0 receipts that year. 2021, same thing, funded it for about 7,000, took in 0 receipts. And the same thing on 2022. What that did is that if we would have got those 3 amounts, that totaled to 23,275. That would have been in our township assistant budget right now. It would have been added to it, and we wouldn't have. We wouldn't be in the red right now. Is basically what it gets down to. But Tim, in your defense, you had 48,000 in there, and Barry wasn't spending it. So I certainly understand why you guys didn't want to fund it. But now it's coming back. If Barry would have been spending probably what he should have been on town assistance, township assistance, that funding may not have got canceled. This is, did I give you this one here yet? This goes with that. That's sort of a summary.
My question is, what's it have to do with this year?
I'm just telling you, if it would have been funded properly the last 3 years, we'd have had 23,000 more in township assistance, and I wouldn't be in the red right now. I'm just giving you some history. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, the only thing is, Larry,
It has no bearing.
basically, you are allowed to spend what we budget and then that additional amount we appropriated. Now, funding has nothing to do with that because, your budget has went up every year and the taxes collect a year behind. So we are eating up our cash balance in every account because, mainly in the general and the township assistance because you're spending more money every year, but then the collections for that year, you're spending more money as a year behind. So your balances are getting eaten away because the collections is a year behind. Like 2023 is what they collected in 2022, and 2024 will be what they collected in 2023. So as you go on and your budget rises, all of your funds are going to drop.
That's true. I'm just making a statement. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm just saying that Barry probably shouldn't have not funded in those 3 years, and I'd have $23,000 more now.
No, he didn't spend any money. If he could spend money, it wouldn't have been there anyhow.
Yeah, if he would have spent it, it wouldn't have been there.
It would be gone.
Yeah.
So he wasn't spending it, so we didn't fund it.
And I certainly understand that. I'm not questioning the decision back then, but it's affecting me now, though.
No, it's not. You have a budget just like Barry did.
David, I would have had 23,000 more in township
No, you
assistance.
wouldn't have, because if they would have funded it, then he would have spent it.
He was only spending like $4,000 a year.
Okay, but
He wouldn't have had to spend it.
It has no bearing upon this.
It does, David. Maybe you don't understand it, but it does.
Back then, to collect money for you to spend now. That wouldn't be fair to that board.
He said we can't
We can't look back. There's
Yeah,
nothing
we
we
can't-
can do.
I'm just giving you some history.
I
That's
get
all I'm
it,
giving
I get
some
it, but it's
history.
nice to look at those numbers to see what was spent previously and what's being spent now. And that's where we need to have those longer conversations, and that's where we need to get into getting the guidelines hammered out and done. And I think that's where we're at right now.
Okay, this is a 782 notice. We discussed a little bit about maybe the meeting before last. What we do is we budget so much money, but then the state basically tells us how much we're going to get. And this is 2023 here. Now, this front sheet here, that matches up perfectly with what was budgeted in 2023. But now, if you go to the second page, you down there see line 14, budget year total revenue. Okay, we budgeted the 82,000, which is on the front sheet, but the state only gave us 69,461.
Because it's a year behind collecting.
Yeah, that's true. And then
That's
on,
what I'm saying. All them amounts are going to be lower than what you're spending when your budget is rising. You're a year behind on your collection.
I'm not questioning that. I'm just giving you some numbers here. Okay, then if we go down to the second column there, township assistance, we budgeted $9,885. Oops, hold on. No, I'm sorry. We budgeted $15,000, but the state only gave us $9,885. And on firefighting, we budgeted $45,000, and they gave us $21,697. And I think you brought this to my attention last year, Tim, or earlier this year, that we can't keep funding the firefighting department out of our general fund. And that's basically what's happening. Any of these numbers, let me continue here, and then it'll make sense. The fire equipment debt, the $50,713. Okay, basically what happened, if you add all of those together, those 5 different funds, it comes to $153,021. Now, if you go down to what was actually budgeted, we budgeted $195,690. That difference of $42,669 came out of our general fund because we didn't have enough in each one of these funds to fund that.
It shouldn't have come out of your general fund. It should come out of the year before what was carried over the year before.
Well, yeah, I'm not denying that. You're true. That's true. Okay, now let's move on to.
So wait a minute. So what's your point here then?
Well, I'm getting there. Just what I'm saying is, because Barry did the funding improperly, we were $42,669 short that we had to use from our general fund. Let me show you the next
I
one.
mean, sure, if anything, he should have, if he didn't spend the money, it should have rose it, not deducted from it.
Go ahead, Tim.
Are you getting a little bit mixed up on, you're saying it comes from the general, it's coming from a savings account, but that savings account has separate lines like general, township assistance, fire. There's money left over at the end of the year.
I know, but it reduced.
Shouldn't cross them categories.
It reduced that amount of money, though, by $42,669. let me take this a step further here, and it'll make a little more sense. Okay, this is the 2024. Same paperwork, only it's got 2024 numbers on it. I was responsible for these numbers. If you look at the front sheet, that's exactly what our budget numbers are. If you look at the second sheet and go down there to line 14, we budgeted 88,800 or 485,000, but we're only going to get 54,498. Township assistance, the next one. We budgeted 25,800, but we're going to get available to us. Don't mean we have to spend it, but available to us, we're going to get 38,107. Well, that figure was $985 under Barry. Okay, under the fire fund, we budgeted 79,000, and I filled out that 1065 form that George told me to do, and now we're going to get $109,542, which we are going to need because probably half of the fire department budget is going to be around $100,000 this year. Okay, the last one, that's just the fire debt for a fire truck. They budgeted 50,000. Well, we're going to get from the state 50,197, and we're going to spend 52,690. So if you total them up to the right, we're going to end up with, coming from the state, $257,718. If you go to the next line, what we actually budgeted is $245,975. So instead of being short 44,000, we are going to have to the positive $11,743 because I ran the numbers the way they should have been run, and Barry was not running the numbers the way they should have been ran. Barry could have done this 109,000 for the fire fund the last year he was here, but he didn't do it. George talked to him about it. He tried to talk him into doing it, and Barry never did anything about it. So this year we are going to be setting pretty good.
Well, the only thing you got to remember, there's two numbers on our budget. One is what we collect, and one is what we spend. But that collection is a year behind.
Right. And that's
every year that collection is a year behind.
so I think what way I'm seeing it, and I think you're getting at, Tim, is the fire fund is 109,000 and the township assistance 38, but that's trying to make up for the shortfall because we budgeted for that much. So the shortfalls is what they're increasing, and that's why we're getting so much more in.
No, they did that because I filled out that 1065 form. That's the only reason we got that money.
Right.
Well, for the fire department.
Right.
To get the
We also
Like township assistance, we had budgeted 25,000.
25,800.
Last year was 15, and so they put in there to collect 15 last year. So even though you're spending 25, they're only going to collect 15 this year.
No, we're going to collect 38,107. That's what this 1782 form does. It tells us the amount of money that we're going to get this year.
Okay, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, now
I
that
went over them numbers in township assistance. I went over general, and you only collected, according to that sheet you gave me, you only collected 10,000 something last year, and you spent 42.
that's right. I'm not denying that. But this year we're going to have available to us 38,107.
That's what they're going to collect. That doesn't mean we have that much available.
Well, no, it's available. You don't have to spend it, but it's available.
That's what they're collecting. It's not what's actually available, Larry.
It's available.
That's what they're collecting, but does not
It will
mean
be, we will get that amount of money.
right. But that doesn't mean that's actually available. There's
Yes,
a difference between available and what they're collecting.
You coach George Helton up. I just got done talking to George, and these are the numbers. This is the money we're going to get this year.
Right. That's what we're going to get. That's what they're going to collect for this year. But that doesn't mean it's available. It means they're collecting it, but it doesn't mean that's
No,
actually 100% available.
We are going to get this money this, whether you call it available or not, we're going to get this money
Right.
this year.
There's no question that we're going to get that money.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
But it's not. That doesn't mean all that money's available.
Doesn't mean we have to spend it, but it's available to spend.
Available and what you can spend, you can't spend over your budget amount.
I
no matter
know.
what you collect.
But see, last year we only had $985 available, and this year we got $38,107.
Well, it shows on that. Now, which fund you talking about?
I'll send you this 1782, and you can compare it from last year to this year.
Which fund are you talking about there, though?
Well, I'm talking about township assistance in 2023.
Collected not 10,000 last year because I went through the numbers.
I know George said he couldn't figure out. We were only supposed to get 9,185. George couldn't quite figure out why we got 10,000, but we were close.
Well, I tell you, they have an amount they lit and license plate money and that, and somewhere we have made a resolution on how that money is split. We used to have to end up putting it all in the fire to keep the fire going.
Right, now it all goes into the general fund.
Well, no. See, you have little pieces of that in township assistance. You have little pieces in general. There's somewhere, the auditor tells you which funds to put them in, right?
Yeah, right. The auditor tells us where we have to put the money, and that's what we do.
Yeah, right. And the auditor is steered by the resolution that was made the last time we made that resolution on how that money was supposed to be split.
I'm not aware of this resolution. Do you have a copy of it?
It was before your time, Larry.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. I need to see that resolution.
Well, it should be in the minutes book. You have to go back and look in the minutes book, and if you can't find it in there, call the auditor. She's probably got a copy.
How long ago do you think this was?
On how that like lit money and some of that is split up.
How old do you think this resolution is?
Oh boy. I'm gonna say 3 or 4 years at least. But the auditor's got to have a copy of it because she knows what account to tell you to put it in. So if you call the auditor, she's probably got a copy of it for you.
Yeah, she should.
Okay, I will get a hold of her, see if I can get that resolution. Okay,
What's this notice at the bottom of this one?
where's that?
The township is doing additional appropriations on December 16th.
Oh, that's from a long time. That's from 2022.
That I had nothing to do with that. That was just part of this
You're right.
1782
Yeah,
notice.
this is too, I've gotten too many papers to this. From
Right.
2022. This is 2022. Okay, we're good. Nothing else?
Okay, basically what I'm trying to explain here is we're going to have almost $50,000 more to work with this year because we're not losing $42,699 like we lost last year, and we're going to have around $11,000 more available to us. So that's a $50,000 swing. You didn't hear him?
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay, what I'm saying, Tim, last year we had to take, to meet our budget, we had to take $42,000 $669 out of the general fund savings to make budget. This year,
You had to take it, hang on now, you had to take it out of the bank account, not the general fund. Them funds,
No.
you gotta keep them separate.
no, it came out of the general fund. I thought the same way you did, but if you take the general, we got $327,000 approximately in the general fund. The bank, I'm saying the bank savings. But if you take the general fund, township assistance, and all our 4 funds, that adds up to $327,000. That money that's designated for the fire department debt, I can't use that. That's not part of our savings. Those numbers, that money cannot be used as the general fund money.
Right?
Oh, if you, like I say, if you total all the,
Your shortfalls wasn't all in the general. Your shortfalls were in township assistance. You had a shortfall, some of it in the general, and I don't know your other accounts.
no,
Where your shortfalls was.
you're right. No, this year we had a shortfall in the general fund because we budgeted 82,000, but we only got 69,461.
Right, but you can spend that budget amount and it goes back and reaches back in what you had carryover from the year before and takes that out of there. That's the way.
I know that, but you told me that the firefighting was eating into our savings every year, and you said I need to figure out a way to stop that. Well, I have figured out a way to stop it. This year we're going to have 109,000, and we're only budgeted 79,000. So
Right, but that makes up for that difference that we've been losing.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I've done that. I've taken care of the problem where we were losing money
Right.
every year.
But we're only still, budget's only still going to be 79,000.
I know that, but we've got 109,000 available to us.
That's coming to make up for the shortfalls. So we don't have 109,000
No, the
coming
only
in.
reason we got the 109,000 is because I filled out that 1065 form. If I wouldn't have filled that out, you'd have got 21,697 this year.
But that's also the same thing with township assistance. We had that shortfall, and that's why we're getting more in, because to make up for that
No.
shortfall, to make up for that budget.
That's because the paperwork was properly filled out. Barry wasn't filling out the paperwork properly. And that's why I'm getting basically
Well,
$50,000
At this
more.
point, it's a moot point, because we're just going to go back and forth and
Yeah.
keep arguing about it. But
Well, I want you to understand it. This is good.
I understand it.
Okay,
I know
you
what's,
understand it. That's
I know
good.
what's happening.
Okay, that's great.
All right, do we have those sheets so we can look at it, so we can move on to the last item and keep moving
I'm
forward?
gonna leave you for this last item. Yeah, because I'm not part of it, so.
Okay.
Is there any other copies you needed before I?
No, here, why don't you guys divide these up?
Yeah, and there's one for him and there's one for each of you. He'll take
There's
care
one
of
for-
sending it to
okay.
Tim.
I'll send
Sounds
one to
good.
Tim
Yeah.
then.
And they should be, one says 1 of 10 and one says
Oh,
1 of
those
7.
copies, those ones that,
The minutes
the
and
minutes,
the
you're gonna get copies of those too.
Yeah,
minutes and the other form, yeah.
That's one for.
the ones you approved.
Correct.
Form 17. The Form 17, I need a copy. Well, two
And,
copies.
and this one. Okay. I'll be right back. Then you're gonna just make a copy. You want me to make a copy and leave it there or?
But no,
Tim,
bring them all back into here if you
All right.
would. Okay, okay, the last thing is, the trustee is declaring a township assistance funding emergency per Indiana Code 36-1-8-4. And this is that code.
Here's all three copies. I didn't staple them or
I just
anything.
want to read that one.
This is the original, the other two.
Okay. Here's your 2 copies for the Form 17. And your 2 copies for the minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for coming, Karen.
All right, well, anything else?
Let me-
Just leave these here for you too.
Okay.
I'll be here at noon tomorrow.
Okay.
And Carrie's,
I don't see how you can call it an emergency. That it's not an emergency. He overspent his funds. He can't declare it an emergency because that's not our fault. We didn't overspend the money.
But my understanding is, even if we transfer this, it's like a loan that
Yeah, it's a loan.
It's
It's
got
got
to
to be paid back. And I ain't signing nothing that would to extend his. It's got to be paid back.
Right.
And we're into the new year.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going back into last year's business.
Okay. I have filed that emergency. And as you see here, the fiscal body, which would be you guys, by ordinance or resolution, which I have the resolution here. What it gets down to is we have zero balance at this time in the township fund. And to cover the shortfall in 2023, I need approximately 8,000, a little less than that, but I'm going to ask for 8,000. That would bring us back to a zero balance. If it was done today, we'd have a zero balance left to spend out of the township assistance.
What's this here says that included below is the email I sent to you and 2 other township board members on December 1st. I didn't receive. What's this?
That came from Huber Tanner, and I think he sent it to me at the same time he sent it to you.
Okay. Says okay. You do not need. I didn't get this. That the code going over the emergency loan process, which I've copied in this email. You do not need appropriations to loan the money from the general fund to the township assistance fund, but you will need appropriations to spend the money from the township assistance fund once the emergency loan has occurred.
We want
Or,
your Trade it. Yeah. We want to go.
So this, if we even would have approved this right now, you still have to do another one to spend the money on it.
That's
Yes,
why,
yeah, we have to-
he's doing that
On
right
the
there.
January 16th, we would have to appropriate the money then.
On January 16th,
Or if our next meeting, February 15th, that's when I plan on appropriating it. But we have, if we get the 8,000, that just pays the expenses that we've already got. I need 12,900. If you look at our budget for township assistance, it's 25,800. Half of that is 12,900. But I'm not going to get any money until June. We get our first settlement. So that means from now till June, I don't have any township assistant money to spend.
what do you mean? It's a new year. You should have got your.
No, he doesn't get
You
the
don't
first
get
year.
it until June and December.
Right. So he got December, which back in December, we were at deficit, and he went farther in deficit. So what he collected in December is nothing there. So that's why he's saying that we're setting negative 75, 88, 26. So to start off this year, we're at negative 75, 88, 26. But the issue I'm seeing is you got to repay that loan back of $2,900, which
When we paid back by June 30th.
right, but the money we'll get in June's only $19,053. So you're not going to be able to pay back that full loan.
I can extend for 6 months. I'd have to do another resolution.
I think the only thing we can really do, I feel comfortable.
This money will be repaid. It's not like we're losing the money.
Right.
And I'm trying to stay within the $25,800 budget. That's why I've only asked for half of the $25,800. But then turn around in December, we'll get more settlement money.
Right,
That will
but-
go into a township assistance. We're going to get $38,000 altogether for township assistance this year.
Right.
Where last year we only got $9,885. Well,
Because we had
basically $10,000.
Because there was a surplus in there. If we didn't have that, if we had a surplus at the end of last year, you want to be getting a 38,000.
Right.
That's why they calculated we're getting 38,000 because we have a shortfall. That's why they're calculating it that way. See, the trouble is, we're gonna have to do another loan at the middle of the year because you're gonna be at zero again by June.
So, I guess fill me in on how we got in this position then.
Well, because we spent $42,000 on poor relief.
We
We went from about $4,000 up to $42,000.
we got in this position because they were over budget, and we spent way more over what we even had because we started out the year with 24,000. We only got 11,000 in, even though we were budgeted because that factored in that 15,000. What was the budget? Well, you end up spending nearly not quite 3 times the amount that was budgeted. That's why we're in the problem we're in.
And our plans are, we're tightening. There were some things that, as I was new to this position, I've learned a lot. And there were some people probably that came in, they qualified, and then maybe later on we found out, hey, that wasn't quite right. But I don't think we spent more than $2,000 that I would say, hey, I'd like to have that back.
So what I think we should do is, I don't feel comfortable doing the $20,000, almost $21,000.
That if you don't approve that, then I'm going to have to come back and do this whole process again before then.
Well, we're going
Because that's half the budget. That's what
Right.
it's going to take.
I feel comfortable of doing a total of I feel comfortable doing 16,000. Because that leaves us a little bit extra when it comes to June that we can carry into December without having to do another loan. Because otherwise, we're going to have to do another loan to carry us until the end of December. We're still going to have to do one, but we won't have to do as big of one like we are now. Because he's just got to repay it back.
You still may have to do, if this $20,900 doesn't get me till June, which is half of our budget, we're going to have to do the same process again.
That's fine. We're going to have to do the process again in June because you're going to run into a deficit again.
It just
come
depends
June.
on how much. Maybe we're not going to have a bad a year as we had last year. Maybe we won't have to spend as much money on township assistance.
Right. That's why I feel comfortable doing 16. That gives you a little bit of leeway. That's basically you're paying that 7,600, and that gives you that extra to hopefully carry to June. And at that point, we'll see what we're sitting at.
I would agree to the 16,000. If you're understanding that we're going to have to,
because we're going to get 1953
I
in
understand
June.
that, but he's in the hole, what, 12,000 or some, because he overspent?
We're only in the whole 75, 80.
the 12,000, David, is what we have.
That would be half of the budget. So I don't want to give him the full budget for right now. I want to carry it till that. So what I'm saying is we give him 16 instead of the full 20. So hopefully by June he still has, when June hits, he hasn't spent that full 8,000, and then we'll still have that 4,000 come in, or 3,000 at that point come in, and then we'll have to retalk that.
I'm not comfortable
We have to have
lending out the money when we had no cooperation.
right, and
We had no cooperation. I mean, I'm not
Right.
into. I'm just not.
That's where we're going to get to the next point. Is I think me and Larry are going to have a sit down talk.
Cooperation.
We're gonna have a sit down talk with the guidelines right there.
Did Zach talk to you?
Yep. So me and Larry are gonna sit down. We're gonna hash out the guidelines before the February meeting. That we'll have it. So if we approve this, we'll have guidelines hashed out before then.
So we can wait till then, and then we can approve this.
But we need to approve it now.
If you don't
I'm
approve
not
this,
into it.
That's why
into
I'm
it.
not. That's why I don't feel like we should give them the full amount.
And I'm not agreeing to nothing until I've tried for a year, AJ.
I get it.
A year.
Right.
And I'm not cutting no slack because he's cut me no slack.
And that's why I said.
And that's why I'm not into. I mean, if you want to, but I'm not approving nothing till he has guidelines that we agree to.
right now, if somebody comes to me who qualifies, we got to send them to the commissioners again. Because we have no money.
Based on what the commissioners have said, basically, if they approve, you just have to give it to them. So you're just being you keep going farther and farther in the hole.
Yeah,
I'd rather not see that either. I'd rather see not go in the hole.
I would have rather not see him go in the hole either, but I didn't put him in the hole. AJ.
Right, I know.
I didn't put him in the hole.
That's why we got to get fixed, and that's
Exactly. So I'm not comfortable doing nothing until I have guidelines that we all agree upon. That's the only way it's going to stop.
AJ and I are we're gonna hash out these guidelines.
Well, that's fine. When you get them hashed out, then we can go
Right
over
now,
them.
David, if a client comes in
Right
here,
now,
then you
then
gotta go
send
in
them to
front
the
of a commissioner.
commissioners.
So
I'm not worried about it because I did not create this problem,
I know you,
and neither did you.
but we gotta fix this. That's a past issue. We didn't create the problem. Now we're here trying to fix this problem.
Well, I'm not in favor of giving no money until I have guidelines.
Okay,
Sorry, I went a whole year without them. A whole year, AJ.
I get it.
A whole year.
It's been bothering me too.
It's been a whole year. So I'm not into giving no money until I have guidelines. That's my stance on it.
okay.
What if we did until we get to February 8th? What if we just did cover the deficit, and then
I'm not covering the deficit because I didn't create the deficit. If he needs money to go forward, that's fine, but I'm not covering the deficit because we didn't create the deficit.
that's why this isn't not appropriation. He's got to repay this money back where we're
Exactly, but I didn't create the deficit for him to pay the money back. He was warned numerous times. We have it in the minutes not to overspend his budget. So I am not paying his deficit. Not going to pay it. If you want to appropriate money for him to go on from the first of the year on, that deficit, the state can deal with it. He can deal with the state on that because we warned him.
Right.
I am not paying that. I am not paying that money. Not because I didn't have nothing to do with it.
See, that's where this is not.
He asked for appropriations, AJ, and we
Right.
turned him down, and he overspent it. So I'm not going back to give him that money now.
See, that's no matter what, it's going to come out as all he's doing right now is taking a loan out, and where it's not, he has to pay that loan back.
Then I agree, okay, but it starts right now. I'm not paying on that back stuff from here on out. It starts right here from the 2nd of January.
We
Not
gotta take-
going back to anything prior to the 2nd of
We
January.
gotta
See,
take care of that
see,
8,000.
See, that's where
That's-
even if we,
I didn't create the 8,000.
I get it, I understand.
I didn't. So
David.
I'm not paying it.
But
AJ.
David, even if we give money, whatever, if we even no matter what we do,
Then I'm not appropriate because I'm not going back to pay his bills that he knew he couldn't spend. I didn't spend it.
well, see, the thing that we're going to run into, David, even if we try to fund it, even if we make it to zero, he still is going to go right back into that deficit. All this loan is going to do is when it comes to June, he won't have that full 19,000 coming
When
in.
it comes to the state closes everything out on the 31st of December. It is now the 2nd of January. If you wanted to appropriate money to fix that back then, it should have been done prior to January 30 or December 31st.
David, that's what we were gonna do in our last meeting.
And I had no part in that either, AJ. I had no part in the last meeting of not getting it done. I did not have no part in that. I did not walk out of the meeting. I did not say the meeting
get
was
it.
over. So no, I am not going back. Whether we got to talk to the state, I am not paying that money. I'm not. The $8,000 is not on. This is a new year.
Right. Even though it's a new year, just look at this number, beginning balance. The same thing, you can look back at 2022, beginning balance. We had positive. So our beginning balance for 2024 is this negative. Can you print out 2024 yet or not? This sheet right here?
There won't be nothing on it. Well, no, there would be.
Yeah,
You
print out
want the same thing for
2024. Please print that.
Cash and investment.
I'm not
Correct, yeah.
I'm not paying the money he went over, AJ. I'm not going to do it. I am not. He went over, AJ. I am not doing it. I am not. It is a new year. This board does not have to transfer anything from last year. He had his opportunities.
We're not transferring. What we're doing is giving him a loan from his current for 2024. So technically, he won't even have. He's already missing that 8,000. We're just trying to make it so there's money there. I get what you're saying, and if we just want to,
It's not.
so
He's got.
you're just gonna keep. So you're just gonna keep. You just want to keep it going zero. You want to keep it going farther and farther.
I've got to call into the state because I want to talk to the state about it. Because no, the state's not going to drag it on. The state's not going to drag it on. The state's ended the 31st of December. The state ended their whatever they got down there right now is what they ended the year with. anything we appropriate here, me and you we might not be able to do this because it is after the first of the year. It's going to be dated January 1st.
That's why I'm having him print out the 2024 so we can see what the beginning balance is. And that's where I think once you see that, because I get what Larry's talking about. This is not appropriating. We're not creating anything. Basically, he's already in that deficit. So what he gets, no matter what, gets in June.
But we would have never been. Now wait a minute.
know.
We just listened to his spill the whole time
Right.
of how we wouldn't be where he was if it
Right.
wasn't for him. Well, we're in this situation because of him.
Right.
So he's throwing it in our face. No, AJ, I'm not bailing him out of the $8,000. I'm not doing it.
Even if you read this here, it's the fiscal body who's actually requesting this. You are the fiscal body.
I didn't
You
sign
are the
anything
fiscal
saying,
body.
but I didn't sign anything saying I'm
Read this
requesting
and
it.
understand it.
I did not. Did you sign anything saying you were requesting it?
Even you are the fiscal body.
Did you sign anything saying you requested this from the state?
Responsible for this as I am,
Oh no, I'm not.
because you are the board member.
I did not sign anything saying I was responsible for this, Larry.
You
I
are a
did not
board
send
member.
this. I did not send this emergency appropriations to nobody, and I never agreed.
And now this is what the board has to do.
Nope, I'm not, AJ. I'll talk to the state because I'm not. I did not agree to that.
Tim,
There isn't no agreement. That's the Indiana code.
Tim, you know what you're talking about here? You've been listening in.
Are you there, Tim?
Yeah.
Have you been listening to what we're trying to do?
I've been listening to it. I'm just trying to figure out. I really want to see the guideline.
Okay.
You know, we talked these guidelines since January 1st, 2023. And we've not got anything done. And unless we're gonna go through what, 2 or 3 more years like this until we get guidelines, and
AJ and I are going to
to
meet.
get the guidelines done.
AJ and I are going to meet, and we're going to work out the guidelines.
Well, yeah, how many meetings have we had to work the guidelines out? We've had 8, 10 meetings, and we've never got it done yet.
Well, we're going to get them worked out this time.
When I see him, then maybe we can re-talk it. But right now, and I'll get a hold of the state to find out what, because I didn't agree for him to send no emergency, and it was no emergency. I didn't cause the problem.
It's still an emergency.
I didn't cause the
By
problem.
Indiana code, I have to tell you it's an emergency, and I've done that.
Well,
And by Indiana code, you need to sign the resolution agreeing to whatever
I don't
amount.
need to sign nothing.
We don't have to.
We don't have to sign nothing.
Okay, what's going to happen, we're going to go to the commissioners then, because we have no money in township assistance.
Well,
We'll be
there's
going
no
to the
reason
commissioners again.
Larry, there's no reason to go back to commissioners.
We have to. I don't have no money. If they qualify and I can't pay them.
You know what, guys? There is another code that says the township can request the commissioners to loan them money.
We don't need to have the commissioners
Yeah.
loan us money. We've
Yeah.
got the money.
That's what he's trying to do.
Well,
That's what he's trying to do right.
If they're gonna approve these people,
Yep. Then they can.
I'm not going to ask the commissioners for money because they don't need to loan it to us. We've got our own money.
I say,
there's a code that we can ask for that money.
Yep.
If they're gonna
I am not going to ask them for money as long as we've got money.
so he's trying to loan the money to ourselves is what he's trying to do.
Right,
But
I understand that, but
The problem is the board did not create this.
I get it.
The board did not create
But-
this.
but
There was no reason.
But we got to fix this problem.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Exactly.
So
But until I can figure out from the state what happens here, because it's after the first of the year, you know.
Were
And
you able to print
you can't go back.
the
That
2024
first year is
discussion?
done.
yeah,
That's locked. You can't jump the dates on the first of the year. So that balance that we're short, it's back here. It goes down the state. That's done. The only thing
Tim, it's going to have to be
really
borrowed.
is the money to pay anybody that comes in now we budgeted money for him.
But we don't have any money, Tim. We're not going to get any money until June. We have zero money for
Let me
township
talk to the
assistance,
state to see what
unless we're
they say.
8,000 in the hole.
If the state starts it at the
What
January
do you
1st, then
think
yeah,
about,
I'll lend the money, but I'm
what
not.
do you think about giving him, when's your next meeting?
The 16th,
15.
15th.
February
Why
15th.
don't you, give him a little dab of money to get him to the 15th, and when you have them guidelines in hand, you can go on. You can give him some more or whatever you need to do then, but it'd be enough to get him by, what, a month and a half.
Right, that's what I'm
And
concerned
he'll
about.
just have to go easy on it, Larry. You ain't gonna be able to do all this you've been doing.
That's what my plan is, but the 16,000 fits very nicely, because 8,000 of it's going to be gone just to get us out of the hole, and that gives us.
Were you able to print this?
No, I think there's no information there yet.
It's gonna be gone.
Okay.
It's gone from the bank account, and it's gonna have to be paid back in township assistance sometime. But
It's
it's a number on the paper now. You paid the bill. You paid the bills. It's a number on the paper. It's not.
let me see that one that you wanted me to read. I think Tim's not understanding something here.
I want to see if you had the
Yeah, that's
2024.
the one I don't. But see what
There's no data.
Tim
there.
says we got 327,000 to work with. We don't.
We got
Well, let's
287.
let's do 87. But see, this
Wait.
money is already. It's got to go to. This amount's got to go to fire debt. This is payroll. The only money I've got to work with is the general fund and the township assistance. All the rest of this is
Right.
already been designated to go to rainy day. That's already tied up. Firefighting, I can't take their money. Cumulative fire, I can't use any of. The only money I can use,
Is that 128,000?
128. Yes, that's where the money's going to come from. If we borrow it, that's where it's coming from. It's from the general fund.
So
Why can't you get it from the rainy day fund?
The rainy day fund has been set up that it's only supposed to be good for. The resolution we drew up was for a tanker.
Okay.
So to get him by till at least until February when we have more numbers, can we do 2,000?
Okay, I'll give him that.
Well, I need 8,000 plus 2,000.
Ain't gonna get it. You
David,
got the 2,000 to get you till February, and then we'll
David, I got
resolve it.
18,000. I'm in the hole.
Not my problem. I didn't
That's why
create
we're
it.
going to borrow it from the general fund.
I didn't create it.
I don't care if you created it. Now we're responsible. We have to
I'm
solve
not
the problem.
responsible because it's in the minutes where I warned the trustee not to go over his budget.
So Tim, what?
Larry, that shortfall is there. It's already there. It's been paid.
It's not been paid.
You just need a little money right now to go on and get people by until your next meeting.
Tim, I got to get this $8,000 just to bring me back to zero in township assistance.
No, you can't change them numbers. You finished the year in the red. Them numbers are gonna stay.
But I'm still it's going to carry over to next year. I'm still going to be in the red next year because I have no money in township assistance except that negative figure. The 16,000 would work out great. That gives me paid back the 8,000 and it allows me to have 8,000 for the next number of months.
Yeah, but I don't feel comfortable giving you that much money, Larry, because
I don't
unless
either.
we have some way to get them guidelines in hand, I just see problems yet.
Yep,
We've
me too.
been 8 to 10 meetings like
So
this.
instead of, like I said, instead of that 16, we do 10. That gives us till February. That
Two.
covers.
I'll give you the 2, but I'm not paying that money back.
Dave,
I will talk to the state, but I'm not paying that money back.
we're 8,000 in the hole
I
right
did
now.
not do it. I did not create the
I'm
fund.
not sure you got to pay that money back
This
until
board-
the end of the year, Larry.
But see,
This
we don't
board
have
did
any.
not.
See, last year we had 25,000 beginning
Did
balance.
not create it.
So if I was
He was
8,000
one.
in the hole, then it would have came from the 25,000 that we already had in the fund. But there is no money in the Township Assistance Fund. The money, beginning balance is all gone, and we have a negative 8,000 figure. So the new year is going to start off with a negative 8,000,
Well,
which means I can't spend any.
I done some figuring on that last sheet, and it's like $12,000, I think.
Well, 12,000 is what I was above budget. The 8,000 is what I have spent above all the money that was available to spend in township
Okay,
assistance.
I got you on that.
So
You had a little bit from the year carry over. And
Right. We had to carry over, but now we don't have any carryover, but we got 8,000 to the negative.
Well,
It's either got to carry on till we get guidelines or
David, it can't carry on because there's no money to carry on.
I don't know. You know, if we would have had this information before the meeting, we could have done a little research.
you're doggone straight we could have.
I didn't. This was supposed to have been taken care of at our last meeting. I had to work this whole weekend to rejuggle things to come up what I could present with you today.
You know about this though. It says you sent that in how long ago to the state about this emergency thing. You never notified us of it.
I didn't know what the total amounts. I just found out about the total amounts today.
Well, if you got something like this, you need to notify the board, hey, we got to have an emergency thing.
He's not
Give us
working
a
with us.
razor
I'm not
so
working
we
with
can
him.
do a little
Sorry, but it ain't
research
gonna happen.
on
AJ.
what.
I'm
what
sorry,
the
but it's not.
See, I couldn't. George Helton was gone most of the last week. I couldn't get any answers from anybody. But I'm going by what the Indiana code says to handle this. And it says the fiscal body is supposed to file a resolution to permit us from going into a cash flow problem. And that's what we have is a cash flow
I
problem.
didn't sign anything that put us into a cash
You don't
flow
have
problem.
to sign nothing, David.
Did you pull that out and show it to the guy?
Pull what out?
The code.
They've got it right in front of them.
Yeah, we got the resolution he's got right in front of us.
he's got the code too.
Yeah,
You want me
he's
to
got
take
the
a
code,
picture?
too.
You want me to take a picture and send it to you?
No, I'm driving yet. Them guys can read that code and decide whether they absolutely have to do that or what they want to do. I can see where you're coming from. You want a little bit of money to work with, so if somebody comes in, you can pay them. But
I agreed to that, but he's saying he's got to pay that money back first, and I ain't no part of it.
Well, I think
You're not understanding it, David.
no matter what, it's got to be paid back. It's right now we're at negative. Whether or not it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. What you're thinking is we're going backwards. We're not going back.
How much does he think he's in the red? 8,000 and something?
75, 88, 26 is what he's in the red, Tim.
How much?
75, 88, 26.
Okay.
And I
You
wa-
got 25,000 to use next year.
Correct.
Divide that out by 12. How much is that a month?
So 25,000.
Yeah.
25,800. See, that's what I'm asking for, Tim. I'm asking for half of that amount of money. That would carry me through till June
21
when I get the settlement.
So
I'm not comfortable giving you half of that 25,000
So-
until we get this guideline.
So each month it basically breaks down to $2,150. So $2,150 is what it breaks down to.
Okay, so you're going to go a month and a half till your next meeting, right?
Correct.
Yep.
So if you loaning the money to get him out of the red and the 1.5. That will get into the next meeting, and then we'll have to have guidelines or it's over.
Right. I ain't paying the money back. I ain't signing it with paying the money back, Tim. I ain't doing it. Ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna do it.
That's what I think you're looking at wrong. Is no matter what, that money's going to get paid back.
I will talk to the state about it. Once the state gives me the okay, then as Tim said, then we ought to have all year to pay it back.
So
So he can.
So Tim, the if you did the 1.5, which would be a month and a half, that would be 32.25, plus the 75, 88.26. Something go right. Let me do my math. So the negative plus the month and a half is 10,713.26.
Why don't we make it 11,000 then? Nice even
Make it
number.
something even, so it's easy to keep track of.
Let's do 10,750.
I'll make it 11,000.
Okay. Well, see, you guys are voting on this. All I can do is give you my thoughts.
That's why I just want your thoughts.
Yeah, and it's just a loan.
Correct. He's got it.
The loan is on this date. He finished in the red.
Right.
So there's a record of finishing in the red. Now
Correct.
this gets him to where he can pay somebody that comes in, but he's got to pay this money back.
Correct.
And that only gets you to the next meeting to where we can get some.
The guidelines, we should have that hashed out before then.
That's my thoughts. You guys are the voting body because I can't vote for this person.
Correct.
And I'm not so sure, Larry, you might want to check that resolution on the rainy day fund, because I think we did change that after we originally did it.
No, I just looked at it. It's $20,069 for a tanker.
What's that now?
It's $20,069, I think, somewhere in there. The resolution says it's to be spent for a tanker or a fire truck tanker.
Well, our original resolution said that, but I thought we made the resolution after that.
Well, I think we may have dropped the tanker portion, but it still says fire truck. I can go get it.
Well, it don't make any difference tonight, but I'm just telling you, you might want to go dig them up for the board for the next meeting or something.
Right.
I'd rather not take that money because see, in 2028, we're going to have to buy a fire truck tanker. And I'd rather not take that money away from there because by the time 2028 runs around, we're probably going to have to spend $500,000 or $600,000 to get that tanker.
Well, it depends on what we buy, but
Right.
we'll tackle that bridge after we get the engine paid for.
So what I'm thinking is we basically do the 10,750.
Give me 11. When I enter it in the system, it's a whole lot easier to put in a round number than an oddball number. I have to go in and enter this into an additional column.
Right.
And it's a whole lot easier to break it down if it's just 11,000. You're only talking a couple of $100 difference.
But the trouble is, Larry, it's always been a couple hundred or this, that.
Gene, we're going to work this out.
I know we will. But to make this work, to make this happen today, is we're going to do the 10,750. I know it's not a round number, but it's going to be not having all the cents and change. I'm making the motion, we approve this loan from the general fund to township assistance to fund it until February 2024. And at that point, by that next meeting, we should have guidelines done.
It's a loan. It's not
Correct. It's a loan that's got to be repaid back to this loan has to be repaid back to the general fund
By June 30th.
by June 30th when we get the money in June.
And then it has to be appropriated. It has to be appropriated then to be able to spend it. But see, I can't get it appropriated until our next meeting.
Well,
What has to be appropriated, Larry? The
This,
loan has to be appropriated?
This 10,750, I have to have it appropriated to be able to actually spend it. So I can't spend any money until our next meeting, which is February 15th. So if I have a client that comes before me now, I'm going to have to send them to the commissioners.
you don't have to send them to the commissioners. You just got to pay it.
They appeal it. If they appeal it.
Why are we doing anything then? If you can't use it, you're not going to gain anything.
Yeah, if we don't get it started now, then we're going to wait another month after that. We've got to get this done now so that it can be ready to be appropriated at our next meeting. But if a client comes in and they are
I
approved,
don't think that's right. I don't think that's right.
George,
Because
this is what George told me.
the only thing we're doing is funding the account.
But
We've
see,
already got a
Tim,
budget.
but see, he turned, but
Put the
Tim,
money in the account.
Tim, but
And so the budget is there. You can spend up to your 25,000 or up to when you run out of money.
but Tim, he's filed for an emergency. So that
This
makes
is
it
what
totally
Tanner-
different.
this
It's
is
not
what
just
Tanner
taking it
said.
out of a
He said it
fund.
has to be appropriate.
He filed for an emergency. So that's changing the whole thing. We can't just, he filed for an emergency. Instead of just coming to us and asking for the money like you're describing, he filed for an emergency. So now he's got to file state guidelines on that.
Emergency said. So
It's state,
my thought process might not be too good on this.
no, because he filed for an emergency. So he didn't come and ask us. This is an emergency he filed with through the state. So he's got to file what the state does for an emergency in the money instead of coming to us and asking for the money.
David, I already
in
asked
another
you
way.
at the November 16th
So,
meeting and you turned it down.
It's,
Well, you asked for an appropriation. That's different than a loan.
I know, but I still asked for the money and you turned me down.
see, here we go again. See, he's got
Because we
no,
thought you could stay within the budget.
he's got no regards. So that's why I'm in not agreement at all to this. Look at him. No regards. Doesn't even know what he did wrong. He wants to get mad because we didn't appropriate him the money.
I'm not
I'm
getting
not.
mad, David. I'm
Not
just
gonna
saying
do
we
it,
have to
AJ.
follow the Indiana code, and that's what the Indiana code is saying.
Because here's simply again, like Tim said, he could have simply come to us and asked for the money. He
I
didn't.
did come to you.
And it's after the first year, I got to figure out what the state can do with it.
So what's I don't see anywhere in it about. I wish Tanner would put in there what code it is, saying you need to appropriate the spend from the township assistant fund once the emergency law has occurred.
Okay, well, let's say we don't have to appropriate it. Let's just say I can borrow it
and it's
and
there.
spend it.
Right.
It don't make any difference.
Well,
See, that's what Tim's coming up with is if we fund, we're loaning that money over to township assistants, the money would be there. That's what Tim's getting at.
Yeah.
And that's where
I feel get that emergency step out of there and that, and just make a loan to that township assistance, and then that should drop the appropriation
Right.
part of it.
Well, that's what I thought, but Tanner's the one that's bringing up about the appropriation. Now, maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. George talked like I could spend the money right from, as long as it was borrowed, I could write a check right out of the general fund and pay for it by
See,
borrowing it.
Here's what it is, Tim. It says the code going over the emergency loan process which he had copied in this meeting mail, you do not need to appropriate to loan the money from the general fund to
See,
the
I don't
township
think we need appropriate.
But you will need appropriations to spend the money from the township assistance fund once the emergency loan has occurred. See, so we still have to appropriate that money in the township assistance
But that's
fund.
that's not in the code down here. It never says that we have to appropriate it.
Yeah, but that's what
That's what Tanner, and maybe Tanner's
Yes.
got it wrong. Maybe Tanner's got it wrong where we don't. I feel like Tim's saying.
But that's coming from the State Board of Accounts. I'm not appropriating anything that goes against what the State Board of Accounts says.
George didn't agree with this appropriations. He told me it could be borrowed right from the general fund. Tanner's the one who came up with the appropriation.
The State Board of Accounts has got the highest proceedings over this.
Right.
So till we get questions on it, I'm not.
So the only thing that's going to happen is if we don't loan this money is anything he gives out in assistance, it's just going to keep going farther and farther down in the hole until we get money in June. Because that's basically what the commissioner said. Way they ruled on it is if they meet the guidelines, which we don't have any guidelines, is if they meet the hypothetical guidelines, we have to basically pay that assistance. Right.
They can't make our judgment on us.
They can't really rule they meet the guidelines.
Because he
There's
has
another
They
way.
did wrong at the last meeting as far as I
Now, Tim, if
Yeah.
you read the ANA code, if there are no guidelines, the commissioners have another way of ruling.
So the commissioners can't say.
They rule whether you qualify, but they can't rule where the funds come from.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
Yeah,
that's
they
what,
can't.
you took them up there and you said, these people qualify, and they said, yeah, they qualify, but they didn't have any money to give them. We didn't have any money either.
That's why we're borrowing the money.
So I think we're at an impasse here. Larry can't deny anybody because there's not funds there, which he just have to keep going. I know, we can't deny it because there's no funds because so what we're at is he can't deny because there's not funds. So basically, he just has to keep paying them out.
Here's what I'll do. Let me get over the state and figure out what they got to say about it and tell them they need to give me an answer. When they give me the answer, we can call, if we need to call another meeting before the February, we can do that.
Okay.
But let me get the answers from the state
Get
first
your answers from the state.
of how this has to occur or what.
Right. And because you could call the meeting 48 hours ahead because you're the president of the
I'll
board.
just call Larry and have him make it once I hear back from the state. But yeah, I'm not.
So I think we're at an impasse.
Well, wait a minute.
Until we get.
If you had to vote, AJ, which way would you vote? Yay or nay to
Doesn't
appropriate?
matter. It's not an official vote.
David,
so
listen to me.
You can't.
If you had to vote, would you vote to give me $10,750?
I need more clarification on the appropriation part, so I can't vote yes or no.
Well, the appropriations don't really have a whole lot to do with it. That is going to just stretch the process out farther. George says appropriations aren't part of this. He said, I just borrow the money.
I get what George's saying, but then we got Tanner down here, State Board of Accounts, saying you need to appropriate it. So we need to have an official. I would like to have it.
We got to know which way to go here.
Right.
That's how.
So David, you'll reach out to.
I'll reach out
If
to.
now if we do have to do appropriations, that takes 10 days,
Right.
posted in 2 papers.
Right. So David's goal is within the next week.
Hopefully, within the next couple of days.
To have that.
How soon the state board gets back to me.
Right. And if you have to call, you may have to call them
Yeah.
to get an answer.
You know,
But the biggest thing is.
the other thing that would solve a lot of these problems is we get the guidelines done.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's
how we
That
ended
would
up
solve
here
a
now.
lot of these problems.
so David, you find out within next week. That will give you time to schedule a 48-hour meeting. And then by that February 15th, if we had to appropriate more money, we should be able to appropriate that meeting. So within that gives that 10 days to appropriate at that.
In the meantime, if I have a client that qualifies, then they're going to have to go in front of the commission.
No, you pay. You don't have
any money.
Yeah. What the commissioner says, you have to pay.
Yep.
But they have to, right, but the commissioners have to tell me that.
No.
Yes, they do. The commissioners only agreed to pay those 4 people, the 4 that were up there. They didn't agree to pay anybody else.
Right. But based off their ruling is you can go back up there every single time.
They have to decide if they qualify.
If they're qualifying, all they can say is, yeah, they qualify, pay them. So if they're qualifying, you got to pay them.
They got to go in front of the commissioners.
There's only certain places you can take money out of without our approval. And that's where, once we get the financial, or the 70, we'll be able to see where he took this money from.
Right.
You know, and he could be in worse trouble for taking money out of somewhere we didn't approve of it.
Right.
You know,
that's why he's got to pay. He's still got to pay that.
This ain't going to end here because we got to figure out where the money came from.
Right. He's still got to pay out of township assistance.
Yeah.
So it's just going to get.
So it's
You're just writing negative checks each time.
But he pulled the money from somewhere, and that will
He
get
pulled
to
it.
the bottom.
He pulled it out of township assistance.
But he had no money there, so he had to get it from somewhere else.
Basically, it's just like the federal government. They just keep writing checks. So it's as simple as that. It's just like the federal government. They don't have any money either, but they keep writing checks. So that's all he's doing.
Clarification from the state.
Get the clarification so we can get this ironed out. So he can't deny anybody based on we not having funds.
Yes, I can. I will deny them because I don't have any money to pay them. By Indiana code, I cannot pay them.
He's right. He can't. He's right.
So they're going to have.
That's why I say he's found out. See, I'm telling you, there's more to come to this because on the end of it, we'll find out where he got the money from to do it because he has no money. He took it from somewhere.
You got to understand. I had over $10,000.
He took it from somewhere.
There too.
He took it from.
He took it from somewhere.
He didn't take it from anywhere. It's just I hate how government works. It's not like our bank accounts where when our balance is zero, it's zero until if we try to take more, then they're going to hit you with fines and everything. Government doesn't work that way. Government, you can keep writing checks until you're millions of dollars in the hole. And that's where we need to get this corrected to where we're not getting farther and farther in the hole. Because he could deny somebody, and the commissioner say pay him.
Yeah,
and that's what that's where it's going to be. Is it's on him. He's got to. If he denies it because he can't do it, then he's got to go back in front of the commissioner and say, "Hey,
that's where he needs to go back in front of the commissioner and ask them for a loan."
I'm not going to borrow money that we don't need to borrow. We've got our own money.
So get that clarification,
I will.
and then we'll have. I guess we're gonna have probably a meeting next week. We'll have a meeting next week, and then at that point, if we have to appropriate the spending of the loan, then we could do that at the February meeting. So that way, hopefully, before that comes up, he doesn't have any clients come in. Is that an understanding?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm good with it. I'm
Okay.
Good.
That's where we're at for this point.
So
That's everything for now.
that's everything. So, all right. You good, Larry? You got anything else to add?
No,
All
I
right.
think
Close the meeting. All right.
I'm good.
You good, AJ?
I'm good.
All right. I see we called the meeting.
Well, thanks
7:23.
for having a pleasant
Yep.
meeting.
Not a
Hey,
problem.
thanks for letting me participate, guys.
Okay.
All right,
thanks,
thanks,
Jim. Enjoy the weather.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What? You know what day next week you're gonna have your meeting or not?
We
no,
don't.
not until I figure out till I hear back from the state.
Okay.
I'll tell them how urgent it is. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Hey, thanks.
Yep. Bye.